Hey there, I'm Lance.
I'm Jeremy.
And we are Hard to Master, where we take a look at games that are hard to master, such as
The White Castle by Devir and Llama Dice.
Now, The White Castle is a game that has an Asian theme to it, and you are going to be playing dice placement with this game, dice drafting and placing those dice, sort of worker placement with the dice to be able to take other actions and sort of track progression. You're trying to move up the castle a little bit with your workers and getting them to be in more advantageous scoring placement spots for yourself.
Board development.
Board development, yeah. There's a lot of several mechanics at play here. But all in all, you are trying to have the most points at the end of the game, as is the case with just about all games. And there are some funky elements with this game about the dice drafting, and sometimes you may take a die that's not as beneficial or doesn't seem like it would be as beneficial to you on the surface, but you get maybe other resources for having taken that. And yeah, there you go. But again, you are trying to have the most points with this particular one. So that's the goal and theme of the game. The theme, I don't know if you can maybe explain it a little bit better than I just did, Jeremy, but it is, like I said, it's an Asian theme, White Castle. This is the White Castle here. Mm-hmm. What can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so in this game, you're basically, like you said, drafting dice. You're trying to send your courtiers out into the castle so that they can move up higher and higher. You're trying to send your gardeners out to tend to the bridges so that at the end of scoring, at the end of the round, if certain bridges don't have dice that were taken, you're going to be able to take a bonus for that. And then your soldiers are going to come out to the training ground. So on my turn, I would draft a die. If I draft on the left side, you'll notice that there's this lantern icon. I do need to grab one card that we should have here on the board. Because when we take that lantern action, we would actually activate our lantern row here. And how you get more cards is you're going to be, throughout the game, gaining more of these cards from the castle, and they'll go here on your board, and when they do that, the card that was there prior would come down and give you more options for whenever you do that lantern ability, which is anytime you take a die that is on the left side of the bridge, because when you take a die, if somebody took this 2, this 3 is going to move down, and the next player could take that. Now, if there's already one over here, and somebody takes it, you wouldn't move that over. The highest value die would still stay on the end. If the 4 was taken, then the 3 would move over to the 4 slot as the highest value die. Now, if it's the same, it still would move depending on which side was available. But I would take this dice and I would place it at any one of these places on the board, or I could place it on my board. Now, if I place it here, you'll notice a 6 and a 2. That's a big discrepancy. So if I place there, I'm going to have to pay a coin for every pip that is above it. So a 2 would cost me 4 coins to place this dice here. And whenever I do that, I would take this action. Now, if I come out on the board, you'll notice if I put it where the 3 is, well, that's a 1. So I would gain the lantern ability, gaining a coin and moving an iron up. Then I would place this here. I would cost me a coin, so I'd pay that coin that would go there. Now, I wouldn't go here, and the reason I wouldn't go here is because there's no white action to take. I'm going to look and see where these dice are, and that's where I'm going to take the action. So I could not place the white die here. I'd have to pick one of these spots, or I could pick down here or on my player board. Now, there's different places and do different things. So over here, I could put any value die on the well space, and that will give me 1 daimyo seal. And you're going to be using these at different places so that you can send people out to either the bridges, the training grounds, or the castle gate here. But then, oops, these should be upside down. Then I would also gain a grain or rice, and this is a victory point symbol. So this is interesting because anytime you take the well action, you're going to gain a point. Usually in this game, this symbol doesn't come out a whole lot. You'll notice it's on this card as well, but usually that doesn't always come out. So it could be that you don't score a whole lot of points until the end, but with this icon being at the well, you would probably see a few extra points in this game if we were playing. Now, that's what you do at the well action. Any number of dice can go here, so they wouldn't stay. That's what this infinity symbol is. But if I come over here and I'm taking actions at the castle, well, it's going to tell me what I can do. If I place an orange die here and it's a 3, well, I don't get or give any coins. But if I put a 6 here, well, I would get 3 coins, and then I could 6 orange. I put this here, I would get 3 coins, and I get to take both orange actions if I can pay for them, which would give me a coin and let me do that well action. So that's probably a better spot to do it than going here if I have an orange die to match. Then I could also spend 1 seal that I have, and that would allow me to send somebody to the training grounds. Now I will have to spend iron to send somebody over there, and at the end you will score points based on how many courtiers you have in the castle. You're going to multiply each soldier by those courtiers, and that will give you these points. Now you also, by sending somebody there, you get to do these bonuses. So this one will let you spend rice, because you still have to spend that grain to send the gardener over there, but now I can take that action and put another person out by doing that. So you can see you can change some different things if you've built up those resources to do it. 5 iron is quite a bit, but then you would get to do that, and you get to move your heron, because that heron is this track up here, and it's going to not only tell you who's going to be player turn order in the realm, but also if you pass this section here, you have to pay those daimyo seals. And those daimyo seals will help you get to these higher regions. And if you're in here at the end of the game, this yellow fan symbol is going to tell you that that's how many in-game victory points you get. So you can see getting in the training grounds, getting these bonus actions, or doing any one white dice action, or doing the well action. So you're not only setting people up there to get you points for the courtiers that you have at the castle, but you're also getting that bonus action. Now, if you come over here, you could train any one of these people. So I could send somebody to the garden, or the gardener to the bridge without spending a seal, because I just placed a die. If it was a 6, I would gain 1 coin because it's 1. If it was a 4, well, I'd have to pay 1 coin, and then I could take that action, or I could take this action where I send somebody to the castle gate. Now, every person that's here at the end doesn't multiply off of them, but you do get a point for having them here. So I could pay 2 coins to get somebody to the gate, and then I could spend 2 mother of pearl, and that would let me move that courtier up. And by doing that, I'm freeing up my board so that later when I take these actions on my board, I would get more things because they've been unlocked. So this one could go up to this level. I would take this card. It would replace this on my board. Now that's going to matter which ones I activate, but I would get to place that card there. So you're doing that to get people out. And if I spent 5 mother of pearl because I really saved up, well, now I can move up 2, and if I was here, I could move up 2 to the top. Now getting to the top is great because you get to activate that lantern. You get to place on one of these to take this bonus, and then you're going to get 10 points for that person there. If they're here, that's 6 points at the end of the game, and 3 points, and they'll multiply times your soldiers there to get even more points. So that's how you want to work through the castle. And then the last thing we said is a bridge. So by spending 2 grain, I get to put a gardener here, which frees up that row of the board. But then if, say, this die was taken and all these and that was still there, well, and I had a gardener here, I'm going to activate this because there was still a die there that did not get taken. So I would get 2 daimyo seals. So it's a real good puzzle of placing them dice, getting the resources, very high resource management so that you can chain those actions to get your people off your board onto your board, and find a way to get a lot of points, because your gardeners will give you points at the end for having them out there based on which cards were randomized out there. Your courtiers are going to get you different points based on what level you are, and then your soldiers are going to get you points based on how many you have here. So it's figuring out that puzzle. I don't want to go to, and then your board, when you activate by placing either orange, black, or white, you're going to activate that row. And then right here, you would do this action after activating and getting those resources, whatever row you would activate. Now this card is going to, doesn't matter which dice you use because you're going to gain this bonus. But if I have this card here, well, and I do the middle, I'm doing this middle action.
Right.
And if you see this symbol, then you're doing that action. If I had this over here, well, the bottom 2 rows are going to let me move 2 on the heron track, whereas the top row is going to let me send somebody to the castle.
And it's important to note, you're going to be changing out this card fairly often.
Every time you move into the castle, unless you're getting to the top level, you're getting a new card. And those cards, as you can see, the blue level, when you actually move them down here, they're going to give you points that you're going to get for activating that lantern. Whereas the bottom row here is going to give you coin cards, which give you more coins.
And on that coin note, I think it's important that we note that Jeremy does have some upgraded metal coins.
Number one thing I do is upgrade coins, and these were not sponsored, but Broken Token if you want feudal Japan or just normal coins. The game is 3 rounds though, so this is not a long game. By the time it gets going, it's over. So if you're wanting a quick worker play or dice placement game, this is a good one to do because it will be quick. And if you're not paying attention, you'll forget that the game's about to end, like the last game I played, and you're like, oh shoot, I was going to do this, this, and this. That was my last turn. Crap.
Yeah.
Next time, I'll remember that. So
with that being said, let's go ahead and get into our thoughts on this one, and then we'll get to our scores after that. So, Jeremy, what for you maybe is the best thing that stands out about this game?
I like Asian culture themed games, and this is another one. As soon as I had seen it at Gen Con, I had told John D, who sent this for us to review. I was like, oh, I'm really interested in this one. It looks amazing. The artwork, the theme, and then it's a quick dice placement game and dice worker. It's, we're using the dice as workers. You're upgrading your board. I mean, there's a lot of different strategies you can go into as far as where I want to focus my attention and how I can chain things, but it's not a long game. This is not one that you're going to take forever to set up. After the first time or two, setup is so quick. Even setting it up to do this video did not take very long at all. Granted, I set it up like a normal. It's hard. This is a small box though, and there's a lot in this box.
Yeah.
So if you upgrade your coins and you sleeve your cards, you can fit it all in there. I do have a unboxing and reboxing video to show you how I've reboxed it with everything, including the metal coins that you can
Click the eye
find
in the top right corner for that.
And I'll tell you, some of the bags are flat, and I did not. It takes forever to get those bags flat, so I did not. And I don't even know if they're the bags that came in, or if I just found bags in my game room. But I didn't want to get those out because it's a pain to put them back in. But as far as setting up the game is pretty. I mean, it's pretty easy to set up after your first game or two. Remembering how to play is very quickly. One thing we didn't even talk about is, unless you're playing a 2-player game, if you're playing 3 or 4, you can stack the die. And by stacking the dice, you can, you still have to pay and gain coins by stacking, but you could take an action if somebody placed a die there. Now, in solo, you can't stack. I have played this solo. It's not my favorite solo game. I enjoyed the game I played, but it's not really one that I would probably solo a bunch because the AI gets a lot of points throughout the game and you're getting a few, and then you're trying to catch up at the end, and a point kind of game isn't really my solo. I like, solo games that are me beating them, like knocking them out of the game type of thing.
So for me, some of the things that I enjoy about the game, I do enjoy the dice drafting and the benefits that come with whether you pick low or if you pick high, and then the placement of those and the restrictiveness of the color of die that you pick. and the number that's on that die. I like that particular aspect of the game. That dice placement is a mechanic that I enjoy and I would like to see in more games more often than regular just straight up worker placement. I think the dice placement does add an extra layer of thinking and strategery that goes with the game that I enjoy that aspect of it. I enjoy the board development that kind of goes on personally down here trying to get these workers off the board. There are some things about this game that I'm not super fond of, though, and I know Jeremy's going to be complete polar opposite than I am, and I probably am going to be a bit of a contrarian
might shock me at your
unpopular
store,
opinion, but I don't necessarily care for the constant fluctuation of these cards swapping in, swapping out. To me, that's maybe one of my least favorite aspects of the game.
You got to steal the card that people want to take.
So for me, when it comes to that aspect of it, I feel like you mentioned earlier that this is a puzzly game, and it does require, I wouldn't say it's brain burner, but it does require, some pretty intense thinking of where you're going to get your resources, how you're going to get the people where you need them to be, how to unlock things on your board. So it's I would say this is a medium heavy kind of game.
And finding the spot that has the die color and value that you can use.
Yeah, there's a lot of restrictiveness.
That's the big puzzle in it.
And for these cards to just swap out at a moment's notice, I mean, that shots your plan, like that. And now I'm having to think, okay, what can I do now?
Well, a new one's going to come out.
A new one's going to come out, but that could be a card that just does not work for you at all.
Well, there's always going to be an option.
Yeah.
To place at one of the three regions. It's just how do you have the coins to do it or not? And then even in setup, you have to have one of each regions in setup.
It just sort of feels
one of each color die. So setup does make you. It's not totally random. You do have to have certain things, but these different tokens have different. And this might be the promo one. These different tokens are going to be random. So even these, like we said, we've originally had them upside down. So you're going to have two different resources at the, well. You're going to have different cards that come out. Even these different, there's more of each type of bridge garden cards that are going to come out. I feel like there's just so much variability. There's a lot of these that come out.
For me, I feel like the game almost has too much variability. And I know that's maybe a crazy thing to say, but I do like there being some consistency with the game. It just sort of feels like, man, everything is such a variable setup, and it changes throughout the course of the game. I don't know.
I mean, the idea of the game and the different regions don't change. What he's saying is these tokens have different resources. But to me, for a game that's only going to be about an hour, I mean, I think those games are the ones that need the replayability the most, because otherwise it's going to be the same 60 minutes, whereas this is going to give you a totally different feel.
I do agree with that.
And I've had most games, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm killing this. I'm like whooping it. And then the last game, like I said, I was just trying to find that synergy that other people were having, and I just couldn't get it going, and next thing you know, the game's over. I forgot how short the game was, and I lost.
For me, this game sort of feels like, I mean, we've talked about the mechanics, but it feels like the heart of the game is trying to convert one thing, one resource, one die into something else that allows you to convert that into something else, to unlock things on your board, or to get people where you need them to be in the right spots for points. So you're kind of doing one thing to do another thing to do another thing.
You do have to build that.
And I sort of feel like that's a very similar feel. It's totally different game, different mechanics, but it's a similar feel to what I experience when I play games like Furnace or It's a Wonderful World. And again, those are completely different games, but it's the same sort of cycle of idea of what you're trying to accomplish. And I just enjoy those games, Furnace and It's a Wonderful World in particular, a bit more than I enjoy this particular one. That's just where I'm at on it. And it may just be that it's hard for me to wrap my head around the constant cycling of the cards and having to, okay, that strategy's out the window. What am I doing now? Oh, that strategy's out the window. What am I doing now? I just feel like that was something that I constantly experienced.
I think that builds the race to get the card you want.
Yes.
Because if you, and developing your board isn't that huge of a thing in this game. More of it is clearing your board to put them on the board.
Right.
It just so happens that you're developing the board while you're clearing them off, getting them into places that give you those bonuses at the end of the round, or give you the cards in the game while it's going, or getting you a bonus action by placing them out here, and then at the end scoring all of them. So you need to get things off of your board. The only thing that really board develops, I mean, this action does not get taken very much as far as
getting
on
your board.
income by placing the die and doing that. If anything, the lantern's the thing that gets used more than anything. I mean, you're using the trackers to track your resources, but as far as what you're developing to use throughout the game is really your lantern. This is an occasional action you might take.
Yeah.
It's so expensive being a 6, so it doesn't happen too often. It's more maybe at the end, towards the end of the game where you have these tracks, flooded off onto the board. But your lantern's one thing that you will be building it, because you want to get the cards so that when you take that lower die, and you will take it at times, you get more for it, and you can still place it where you wanted to because you have an abundance of coins, or you're going to a 3, or you're just going to use that to go to a well and then get all these resources and things extra. So
let's get to our scores for this game. I'll start first on this one. You guys kind of know where I'm at on it, I think. Now, I do want to...
I don't know.
Well, so I do want to throw out there, too, that this is the spiritual successor to Red Cathedral, or at least that's what we're told. I don't think that there's any similarities between the two games.
Well, they just took a game that involved dice and mechanics and made a new game
and a color,
with a different theme
and a building.
a different theme, and created that dice with mechanics. So, and I would all the dice, they're the ones that put this together.
And I would be remiss if knowing that this is supposed to be the spiritual successor to that game, I would be remiss. See, that's why I wanted to bring that up, because
I beat you at both.
I enjoy Red Cathedral more, which I know is going to be an unpopular opinion. I know most people are probably going to gravitate towards the White Castle, and maybe it's just because I know the Red Cathedral and I've had that game for quite a while. It's right here behind me on my shelf. I love the Red Cathedral. This, I'm just not sold on. I don't know what it is.
Give us your score.
My score for
We don't need you to bash this good game. Just give us your score.
It's going to be a 6.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, and I know that's not going to be popular, but for me, this is the 4th best game Devir has come out with just this year. And again, this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but I think Jerusalem, I think Three Ring Circus, and I think Savernaki Forest is actually a better game than this, which I know those are completely different games marketed to completely different groups of people. But I'd rather spend my time playing the tile laying Savernaki Forest, get my critters where they need to be, eat their food, than this particular one. So for me, this is not one that's super high on my list of Devir games for the year, but that's, I'm a contrarian when it comes to this one. Not a popular opinion. I know that.
This is the more thinky game, so I'm going to gravitate to this one. But I do like the other games, but I will tell you, this is going to make the top 25 that I'm going to make this year. This has potential to make the top 10 still. It's in the running with several. I still need to play other games, but it has potential. I've already said that. This game to me is a really good game, because it gives me a very crunchy feel in an hour. And there's so much replayability in the cards that come out, and it's going to feel different because the strategy you went for before isn't there, because 2 or 3 of those cards are different. And that makes a big change in this game. The well having different things to get, the different dice tokens that tell you what actions you can take because the dice tokens are different. Like here, I can get 2 black actions by placing a black die there. Now, if I had 2 white tokens there, well, that changes. And those white dice not be there, or in a different arrangement. So that really switches it up. The different actions you get from the training ground, and even this card can be different with what bonuses you get by being the first and second and third up that track. I've tried going up the Heron track and different strategies. I've even tried the solo. This to me is an 8.1.
Whoa.
I feel pretty confident that it's going to be at least towards the top 20, if not in the top 10. I'm not. This to me is a medium game in a little bitty box. There's so much game in this little bitty box. Definitely one.
It is a little box.
If this comes out before Christmas and you're looking for a small game to get somebody, this is one of those I would say to get because you get them both. It's a Christmas successor pack that you can get. But it's just a great game with so much stuff in this little bitty box. It's surprising to me because I saw it and I was like, oh, looks cool. I like it. I like the idea behind it. But how much game is in this little bitty box? Because a lot of times it's like there's not that much game in a little bitty box. This one has a lot of game in a little bitty box, and you don't have to worry about playing for 2 hours. I mean, that is true. You're gonna set it up. You can set it up real quick after another game. Play it in about an hour and 15 minutes, easy.
Yeah.
With 3-4 people. So.
Well, there you have it.
8.1 for me. I mean,
we're coming at it
wrong. 8.1,
high and low on this one. I fully acknowledge that there are going to be more people that probably agree with Jeremy than they do with me on this one. But that's probably true too. I'm not going to lie on that. But there you have it. That's our thoughts, whether they're right or wrong. I'm right. On the White Castle. It is from Devir. Leave us some comments down below. Let us know what you think about this game, what you think about the Red Cathedral, and whether it's better than this game or not, because it is. And if you like this video...
I kind of feel like we're cross-promoting here.
I love Devir.
You've named every Devir game
I love Devir.
that came out this year.
I just don't love this one.
And they have been hitting out of the park for 2 years. If you remember last year, I had 2 games of theirs on my top 10. Bitoku #1 and Lacrimosa #6. This has a really good shot. And those other games he listed, a lot of them will probably make the top 25.
Yeah,
so they're really hitting it hard. And this is... so far, the pinnacle of the year.
No. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell icon to be notified of all of our great new content. I'm Lance.
I'm Jeremy.
And we are Hard to Master, where we take a look at games that are hard to master. We'll catch you next time.
See ya!